to turn up my volume, and then I'll turn up everybody else's volume. So, alright. Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. Today, we are in our Around the Hearth video, and we are going to be talking about CR15 and 16 this time. And we'll make an announcement about the other CRs and how we'll be covering them soon at the end of this video. But first, let us begin with our disclaimer, as we usually do. This is an adult podcast with adults, some of them that use adult language. You have been warned.
Thanks, Dad.
The Pathfather has spoken. Patreon is up for both the Inn of Planar Crossroads and Black Dragon Gaming, so if you want to support either channel, you can pop on over to those, and you can see the different tiers that we have, and the different rewards available for people. The next subscriber appreciation one-shot for the Inn of Planar Crossroads will be at 200. We're above 130 subscribers now, so that should be good. Should be coming up before the end of the year, I'm sure. Just based upon how many people are coming in, you know, occasionally through the channel. So we should get enough to have it before the end of the year, which would please Colin, because he wants to run something fun and different. It's not something I've seen run before, so he's told me and the other people in the group what it'll be, but we'll just have to see if anybody gets to get in on that.
Now, I've seen things run like that in the past, but they've always been kind of like, what do you do? And that kind of thing. Like, not to disparage Colin, but like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think Colin could do it really well, and I also like the fact that Colin's put it out front as different will make it a lot more fun than like you show up and you have this character rolled up and, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're not going to be surprised by what's happening with when things get weird.
I might say leave your edgelords at home.
Yeah. But that
Or
brings
don't.
something fun. Or don't. That could be just as funny.
Yeah.
All right. Also, the giveaway this month is the Vivek statuette that I have been showing off. So, if you want a Vivek Vinyl Pop statuette, you can get in on that. That's the giveaway for this month on the Inn of Planar Crossroads if you're of the Giant tier or higher. So if you want to see the different tiers, you can always do you can always go over to the Patreon and see that. It's the $10 tier on ours. So there you go. Final announcement, and this is probably the final time I will announce it. And apologies to the viewers that want to watch it. Misadventures in the Southern Colony is something that it is a game that I've been running one-on-one with my son, and he's been having some fun with that. I need to release 2 episodes, actually. We got episode 2 and 3, and I just forgot to release episode 2, which was my bad, because I had it all edited and just did not remember, because I was having such a load to upload during that period that I forgot about it. So it will be back up, and you guys will get 2 episodes fairly close to each other. So there you go. And this last one, episode 3, he has a familiar experience to many adventurers in a basement. So you can probably figure out what he had to face down there.
Oh,
But
I think I have the idea now.
Nerds. He fought nerds.
nerds in the basement with dice.
I was gonna say rats, but nerds, same thing, really.
No. It is bugs down there.
All the above.
They hairy, they smell. They're all kind of stuck together.
All right. And that's all we have for announcements, aside from, you know, we've been announcing it all the time that we're going to be at the St. Louis Comic-Con. Come out to see us if you want to see us there. And we're going to do some recording there with each other. So I think it's been thrown around, and Addie is totally game for it, to play a session of Misadventures in the Southern Colony with everybody else on here that wants to play. So that would be funny. I'm sure laughs would be had. So there there you go. That is something that might happen. But anyway,
I'm just gonna have to go to a different area of wherever we're staying and get all of my fucks out, like screaming to avoid my profanity.
Screaming profanity at a wall.
All right, let's get on with the chat. So I'm going to pull up the display that we have of the web page, DE20 PFSRD. And where'd my dice go? There we go. So we'll roll to see who goes first. 1, 2, 3. Joe is first.
Oh shit, that's nice. All right, so I chose for. Let me find them. Am I? Yeah, I'm not. No, wait. Yeah, there he is. For my CR15, the Neothelid. Now the Neothelid is really fun. It's kind of a herald, which you find a lot of them in this CR. Except he's not one in a million. But he is kind of a herald for the in his description, Neothelids themselves respond by even more horrific entities, ageless horrors from strange dimensions beyond the edge of known reality. The Neothelids see themselves as the chosen agents of these malevolent forces, working to ready the world for their return. So these guys are nasty, and I'm going to tell you about them. So they are worms, essentially. But they are considered aberrations. They're chaotic evil because they have an intelligence score. They are gargantuan. So right now, they're already pretty nasty. They have initiative +2. They suck. They're huge. They suck, though. They have blind sight. They have a pretty nice perception check along with that, and they have something called Trace Teleport. I'll talk about later. Their armor class is 30, which I don't know about the rest of the CR15 stuff, but I'm pretty sure that 30 is pretty much on point for CR15. He has a poopy touch of 4. Anyone can touch him. He has a flat-footed of 30, which is hilarious in my opinion, considering he is pretty good HP, of course. His reflex save is nothing to write home about, but his other 2 saves are pretty good. He has DR10 over Cold Iron, SR of 26. Okay, so he has a speed of 30 feet, but he has a fly speed. Why a gargantuan worm has a fly speed, we'll never know. It's constant. He has constant fly. So, yeah. His attacks, they aren't slams or anything like another worm. He has tongues. 4 tongues. Plus 21, 3d6, plus 10. They can crit 19 to 20, and they have a grab. So, yeah, it's already kind of weird. He has space and reach to 20 feet. Sorry. It has some special attacks. Yeah, the fly is a magical effect. It is. It's constant. And it has a bunch of other stuff we'll talk about in a second. It has a breath weapon of acid, 14d10. The DC is 27, which is pretty good. People, unless they've got a really high, above average reflex save, might have trouble even with your rogues, I think. He has a lot of psychic attacks we can talk about here in a second, and he has Swallow Hole because he's a gargantuan worm with 4 tongues. It has spell-like abilities, which I was talking about. They're treated like he's cast at level 20th. He has Fly, Constant, and Katie just pointed out that you can chase it up really high and dispel it, which is hilarious. That's pretty good. Though they're usually underground. We'll talk about that when we get to creating an encounter, but they're usually underground. At will, he has Detect Thoughts at a DC 17, Charm Monster at 19, so he can charm anything he wants. He has Clairvoyance / Clairaudience, He has Suggestion at DC 18. He has Telekinesis at will, DC 20, Teleport, which is a really good effect, just for whatever. And he has a Quicken Suggestion as well, and he has a spell Poison at DC 19 as well. I forgot to mention. Stats are okay except for his dex. He's got the poopiest dex on the side of the Mississippi. He a grapple that only a mother could love, i.e., the grapple is going to get anyone who is anyone. His feats, he's built right. He's built right, except you might want to throw. I don't see combat reflexes in there, so you might want to throw that on him. And his skills, pretty good. The ones I'd like to point out, he has a pretty good Intimidate and a pretty good Bluff check. His fly is terrible, but he has Magical Flight. He has Telepathy at 100 feet, and then we get to his special abilities. So he can do Psychic damage. As a standard action 3 times a day, he can deliver a Mind Thrust, which is a massive blast of mental energy at any one target within 60 feet, inflicting 15d10 points of damage. Successful DC 25 will save will negate the effect. So it's either 15d10 or nothing, but that's 150 damage, which is going to make everyone eat the poop. He has a Psychic Crush ability, so he can crush the mind of a single creature within 60 feet 3 times a day. It's a DC 25 again, or become unconscious and dying at -1 hit points. If you succeed, you just take 66 points of damage and sicken for 1 round, which is still kind of poopy. This is mind affecting. The save DCs for both of these are charisma based, so up his charisma if you want to make these a bit more difficult, and give him combat reflexes for sure, because he's gargantuan. He wants to hit all of the mooks who run. Now, he has ability I really like flavor-wise, which I love it when players teleport out of places, because it kind of diffuses the encounter, and it makes it so like, oh good, I don't have to continue this. Not that I'm like trying like not to do these encounters, but it makes it so like I don't have to explain to anyone why they died sometimes. But these guys, within a minute of someone teleporting, they can teleport to any creature that teleports away from it within 60 feet of it. So it has teleport at will, and it will teleport itself, and it doesn't have self only on its teleport, so it will teleport itself and any mooks it has with it to your position, and it will continue the fight. And maybe you're on home ground and you're a bit safer, but if you had to teleport away, you're probably not. So yeah, I can talk about more of his stuff really when we get to creating encounters, but like all of his like stat stuff and his stat block is really solid just without even having to create an encounter. Now we're gonna go back to the thing, and then we're gonna go to the thing that I was gonna do second. This is a creature I've done before, and I'll talk about the encounter that I designed around him later, but it was really fun. Tommy, Sarah, and Josh really hated it. Well, I don't know if they really hated it, but it was fun because he had a lot of advantage in his position. This is a neutral, evil, gargantuan, and dead creature, the Warsworn. So this is another kind of... It's kind of a worm, except it's made out of zombies and like broken bits of armor and weaponry. It's intelligent. That's an important thing to know about it. It has an initiative +3, so it might go faster. If we roll a 10, it will go faster than the Neothelid. It has dark vision 60 feet and it has perception of +27, so nothing really like solid there, unlike the Neothelid. This guy has an aura of frightful presence. It's 60-foot DC 26 aura. His armor class is one lower than the Neothelid at 29, but his touch is a bit better. His flat-footed is worse. He actually has about equivalent HP. He has a lesser hit die, but more hit dice. And his saves are all higher. Well, no, his fort is 2 lower. His fort is 13 compared to the Neothelid's 15. But just on his own, his saves are way higher, just in general. He's an undead with channel resistance +4. And he has a DR over bludgeoning and magic. And he's, of course, undead, so he has undead traits. He's faster on the ground than the Othelid, though he cannot fly at 40 feet on the ground. He has 4 slams, plus an energy drain. We'll talk about that in a second. And he has a ranged attack, which is plus 12. And it's okay. Or we just kind of like kept heaving things to people. But we'll talk about that. His space, pretty great, except his reach is really crap. He has a reach of 5 feet because he's kind of an undead zombie worm. Now he has some abilities we'll talk about. He has energy drain. Like I said, the energy drain takes away a level, so it's a negative level of DC 26. And he has a trample ability, so when he moves over you, you take 2d6 plus 18 at DC 31 save against that. He casts at CL18, and he has a concentration check of plus 25 to cast 3 times a day an extended animate object, so he can make a bunch of spirit weapons. And he has telekinesis, though it's only the violent thrust ability on people wearing heavy armor. So your paladins, they're screwed because he's going to throw them around and he's going to shove them into buildings and try and kill them, which is pretty great for his other ability here in a second. He can also pull people towards him, which is even better, I think. His abilities, he has no con score, he's undead. He's not very intelligent, but he's actually intelligent enough to do basic tactics, and it's explained in his actual stat block description at the bottom why. He has some pretty great feats. Again, he's gonna want combat reflexes. I don't know why. It seems like they kind of started crapping out on us for some reason, but yeah. His CMB is pretty great. His CMD, he can't be tripped, and his CMD is 42, so good luck. His abilities, his skills, it's whatever. He's intelligent, but he can't speak. He can only speak common. And he has a profane magic special quality. So the thing to write home about him, though, and I'll talk about this when we talk about encounters, is that he can consume any dying creature by moving into the same space. This immediately kills the creature, absorbs the corpse, heals the war sworn by an amount equal to the creature's constitution score. Absorbed corpses cannot be resurrected by any effect short of a miracle or wish until the war swarm that consumed them is destroyed. So it's really great when you have mooks like friendly mooks. I talked about the scrap ball. He can throw a mass of broken weapons and armor. That's just his ranged attack. You can up his strength to up the damage, of course. And also, he has an ability called Profane Magic, which blocks the attacks from a Warsworn's spell-like abilities. And weapons animated by the Warsworn are damaged by channeled energy as if they're undead. So, when he animates a bunch of weapons to attack you, you can just channel them away and get rid of them. And also, you can use protection from evil to stop his telekinesis if you're a paladin, which is pretty nice. Just a big kind of army worm, I guess.
If I remember correctly, I think the cleric's spell Dispel Evil works for that as well.
I don't know. It just says protection from evil, and weapons animated are damaged by channel energy. So there would need to be something explaining that. Though I'm more likely just to go with the fact that it only says pro evil and channel energy damage. I would really just go with those.
And it's got some nice lore behind it too, so it's definitely one you can throw out there when you want to make people, oh man, these battles have been fought here for thousands of years. Oh.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk about that when we go to creating encounters. I kind of skipped over it because it's important for the encounters.
We will hold off.
Now
then.
Tommy has ammunition when we come back to the haunted battlefield.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't
After
Joe used a Warsworn against Sarah and Josh and me once way back in the day, and it's you can't use the same monster against the GM again because they know all of the answers. Oh, it's that. Haha.
But
And
does
that
their
game's good.
character know the answers? That's the question.
Somebody's got knowledge on that party. Everyone's a full caster. They can figure it out.
All right. Next one. I assume you're done, Joe? think he's done.
Joe's dead.
I guess he's
You're
done.
done, Joe.
All right. Okay. Donald, you're up.
Okay, my first pick, I will go with a Herald. The encounter how to use the Herald of Hell, Basilius. He's an interesting creature. If you're going to be using him mechanically, you need to use all of his stats and environment properly with backup to make him a challenge. But I'm not talking about that yet. That is next week. The Herald, Basilius, he is quite the interesting devil that serves Asmodeus. He can take any form that he needs to do his job as a herald effectively. So as a game master using him as the NPC, he could easily be following the party the entire time, taking different disguises all the time. Which is quite nice to use him as a GM. He has pretty good perception, plus 23, initiative plus 10, so as long as he rolls quite well, he's going to be in the top of the initiative order most of the time. His AC is okay at 28, but based upon what the party is consists of, you can easily boost his AC and hit points up to make him more of a challenge. His saves across the board is pretty good, with reflex save and will save being the highest, while fortitude save not that great, plus 12, with all the typical devil traits and immunities with a decent SR 26. He gets multiple attacks, a melee touch attack that doesn't do a lot, plus 19 to hit, 1d8 plus 8, and then 5 slam attacks, which get a nice grab attack there. Most of the time, for the casters you're going up against, you're going to be beating their CMD most of the time, and that's 5. He does have a reach of 15 feet with the slam, so add combat reflexes in there, and he's going for that area. Some of his special abilities, if you use them right at the GM, it's Terror and Terror Shape. Terror Shape is quite nice if you need to use it at certain times. And then one of his nice abilities, which I do like, Gaze. If someone is bringing their followers in via the leadership feat, if they have less than six hit die or less, they are going to be killed pretty soon due to the amount of damage, and the DC is pretty nice. The Terror Shape, the Terror, and then the Veil Form. These abilities, if you're going to be using them, you need to use them in an environment that can emphasize and make them much more stronger. The at will and the spell per day, they are nice for what he can do, but based upon what the party consists of, you may need to add additional spells to make this herald a bit more of a challenge. By this point, having an AC of 30, it is relatively okay compared to the other creatures. So if you're going to be using heralds, you need to have a big encounter to make them very powerful, because 200 hit points with a power build, especially a paladin, could easily potentially do 200 damage in a turn, potentially. So yeah, heralds, if you're going to be using them, you need to make sure they are quite tough against a party. And then the CR16, it's a demon that I have used before. The Shemizian, I probably just butchered that name. It's a big cat-like reptile beast creature. It's a Crimea of demon, effectively. It have a good AC, 31, hit points about 250. Its saves are good across the board, except for reflex save plus 11, with the typical demon immunities and DR. The good thing about the demon I like is it have have a strength drain attack, which the DC is pretty nice while doing a good amount of damage. 2d6 plus 12 plus strength damage. It only take a natural one on a fortitude save for the fighter or someone who's not immune to strength damage to be reduced to a very low strength modifier. It have 2 claws, 2 pincers, and a tail attack, which can do a decent amount of damage. It have a reach of 30 feet with its tail and 20 feet for most of its weapons. It have nice attacks, paralyzed gaze, rend, and then a bunch of constant spells and spell-like abilities that you can use. Detect good, fly, true seeing, which is quite great at this point, as if you do have the arcane trickster that get to have access to greater invisibility, the demon can see where they are and then use the at willpower greater teleport to teleport where the rogue is and then attack that rogue. Invisibility, telekinesis, which is quite nice. As a GM, the spells per day, clairvoyance, which is great if you need to use this creature at the NPC role. It does have the intelligence and the mental stats to be a NPC at times. Mass inflicts serious wounds, so if you're facing up against a lot of undead, this creature can easily heal their undead minions. Prying Eyes, Blasphemy, and Summon Creatures spell. It have a lot of combat feats, which is quite nice. Awesome Blow, Combat Reflex, Improve Rush, Improve Vital Strike, Lightning Reflex, Multi-Attack, Power Attack, and Vital Strike. So if this creature can hit the puny wizard, they're going to have a bad day, especially the DC for Paralyzed Gaze. It's Fortitude Save 21, which is not that great at this CR. But if you want to increase it even more, give it like a +2 or a +3 to make it a 24. So the characters who have a high fortitude save, they should be worried. They may be paralyzed. And then the strength strain, even on a successful save of a fortitude save DC 27, they still take 1d4 strength damage. So the paladin, the fighters, even if they do succeed their save, that's going to be less damage overall against their chance to hit the creature of AC of 31. The best way to use the synergy is generally have minions to make this creature much more stronger. So yeah, this demon is quite interesting, especially when it comes to the potential uses of the GM. Besides just for a normal NPC, it can be quite the potent combat demon as well.
It looks it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reach of 20 feet. That is pretty good to have that. That's...
All right. So we've got Joe and Donald done. Right, Donald? You're done?
Yeah.
Okay. So Donald's done. Nice choices so far. Let's see who goes next. Tommy.
Tommy's up. All right. So my 2 encounters today aren't necessarily like highlights of the monsters. Mechanically speaking, like I think my CR15 is really bad mechanically, but at this point in like the slog through an adventure, I'll say at this point you should be pretty familiar with how monsters work, how to build them and stuff like that, especially like if you were a player first and it's your turn to GM and the campaign gets up to this level, it gets to the point where you need to have a little more, in my opinion anyway, customization, a little more like play around with it. Because people aren't gonna expect it. Most they will see A and expect A, but they will get B instead. And also, it improves you as a player and as a GM. I guess the best way to say this is there won't be a lot of Pathfinder First Edition content coming out anymore, so the time has come to build it ourselves. is kind of like how I've wrapped my head around things. So both of my encounters are a whole lot of customization, a whole lot of do what you want, make it how you want to make it, and just like make it as effective or ineffective as you can. At CR15 on d20pfsrd.com, he is known just as Sunlord, which might be for the best because I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name, but my CR15 is Sarenrae's Herald, the Sunlord. I'm going to say Thalicos, but again, I have no idea. I used the Grand Defender once in a campaign. I didn't know his stats existed, but I used him, and then when I found the stats, I was really disappointed because like these are the heralds of the core deities, and they're all kind of just poopy. But Sarenrae's Herald, the thing I like about him is the fact that he has 4 arms. He's like, if you know what a Kasatha is, it's essentially an outsider Kasatha that can fly. He comes equipped with 2 scimitars, and then his other 2 hands have a longbow. But I bring him up because with any amount of fighter levels or anything with bonus feats, you can take quick draw and start like taking various blocks from the various fighting styles and building them together to make like the uber fighter. So you might come in one day with like 4 keen scimitars, or there's even a ranger archetype for the Kasatha called a bow nomad, which allows you to dual wield longbows. You could find shenanigans, and you're an outsider, and you're the herald of the goddess of the sun, so you have the shenanigans, 4 crossbows that automatically reload, even like double great swords, stuff like that. On his own, he has the his spells aren't bad. He has once a day heal, which is what makes it bad. It's once a day. He's got Holy Smite at will, Holy Word at will. He's got nuke all of the evil mooks just at the snap of his fingers. Essentially, he can plane shift. He can like remove curse and stuff, but that's kind of it. His armor class is just 29, which is like by CR15. That's the drop in the barbarian's bucket. On his worst day, natural 1 shenanigans aside, on his worst day, the barbarian just, bah, you're dead. His spell resistance exists, but it's not crazy. His DR exists, but, well, against parties, either they're going to have answers for it because they're all a bunch of anti-paladins, or it's not applicable because it's DR10 over evil. But again, if you give him, like, prestige him into duelist, turn his hit dice into duelist hit dice, and give him a light weapon in one hand and then like a longbow in one hand, you can harass the spellcaster in the back, and then it provokes parry from the guy in front of you and then riposte at him for damage. Or you can even again just start blasting people with this guy. Flavor wise, he is immortal and he is renewed every day, so pretty much if you're going up against an evil party, you can't die, short of like wish or miracle or like all the harass killing stuff, I guess, will kill you. But other than that, he continues to come back, and he has plane shift. So not only is he like a plot device, he also is a good way to move your mooks around. He if you play him as written, he comes into the fight, like I said, with a pair of scimitars and a longbow. If he hits twice in the same round with his scimitars, again, whether that's like I go bop bop or bop bop, if he like even just comes in with 1 scimitar and a shield and he hits you twice, it's a DC 24 fort save, or you're stunned for 1d6 rounds, which is like, I'll say that's his saving grace, I guess. That's not a very big number until you hit the wizard with it, and he's sad, or even like the rogue probably doesn't have the best fort save in the world. I forget. I don't remember if rogues, if their bad save is their will or their fort, but even then, I don't imagine.
Rogues are generally fortitude save and will save.
Do they have 2 bad saves?
Yeah, reflex save is their key savings for the most part, unless you build for them to have a decent fortitude or will save.
And there you go. Just even also, I think it's alchemists that alchemists have a good fort save, a bad will save. Anybody with a bad fort save, they take a neg 2 to their armor class, they lose their dex, but more importantly, they can't take actions for 1d6 turns, so that's pretty solid. That's like the one, again, the saving grace about him is give him 4 scimitars, drop him in the middle, and there's nothing saying he can't just like fly in or just like plane shift in like a gout of fire and start just bonking people on the head and then stunning them. But still, I would. It's hilarious how system mastery in Pathfinder, like stereotypically, is the wizard, but in reality is the brawler. And one of these days I'll play a brawler, but this is a really him and Kasafa, I guess, in general, are really good for the brawlers because they can do whatever with 4 hands. That's again 2 bows, 2 great swords, 4. His scimitars aren't keen. Help your boy out. Give him keen scimitars. He should. He's CR15, and he represents the goddess of the sun on the mortal plane, but he didn't think to come in with good weapons.
Flame tongue, keen scimitars.
Yeah, why not? I think they're just like +1 holy scimitars normally, which isn't bad, but at level 15, it's kind of bad.
Well, they're flaming
People
holy
are gonna
scimitars.
have.
So.
I'm a +1 weapon with a few enchantments by this CR. It's okay, but I expect outsiders like this to have more oomph, more power behind their weapons.
Yeah, because it's just a +19 to hit, which means he's not hitting. Well, it depends on your party composition too. Like if people aren't really optimizing, or the point buy is lower, or to drive the point home to some of us from Rise of the Rune Lords, if it's in that 105-day waiting period while the wizard is just spamming all the magic items together, maybe you can catch the party with their pants down, kind of literally. But other than that, he's kind of not the best in the world, and he needs like a really big shot in the arm, but he's got a really good shell to put that shot in the arm on. For my CR16, and this was Joe's honorable mention, but it's real good. I have to use it because I have a lot of good memories from this monster, because this monster was a PC in a campaign at CR16. We're going to talk about the Clockwork Dragon. This is we've gone pretty much this whole thing minus the 3 hours worth of honorable mentions back at CR 4 or so, and we haven't really touched on the dragons. This isn't a dragon, this is a construct, but he has basically the same ideas. He's got a fly speed, he has a breath weapon, but what we bring up is the fact that these guys have at the end of their stat block there's a thing for variant Clockwork Dragons. You gotta think of your Clockwork Dragon as your car, but maybe you decided you wanted your car to breathe acid instead of fire. Well, you can do so. It's there's rules for constructing them somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah, there they are. There's a lot of stuff there. I don't know if the craft construct stuff is as easy to cheat as craft magic items are.
The thing about constructs, if making them, it's the resources and the downtime to make them.
Yeah, that would be 162 days.
Yes. So most campaigns, you don't have that time to make this dragon.
Sometimes you gotta raise your hand. GM, can I have some downtime, please? But I don't know if I can't cast Limited Wish. That increases the DC by 5, but the DC is still just trivially easy for me to get at. If it is, then it's not hard to time withstanding to build one of these things. But if you're the GM, it doesn't matter, because you can just pull this out of your back pocket, and it's got pretty much whatever you want. It's got you can take off its breath weapon to they can pull a bombard out of its wings go back, and then out comes a bombard from its back, and it starts nuking people with it. Or Joe is a big fan of the flaming tar breath. That happened a lot of entangled dudes, and they start taking 3d6 fire damage. You can, what else can we do? They can get compression and become serpentine and get the infiltrator variant, which gives it a +8 racial bonus on stealth checks, which that's only a stealth +0, but you're the GM, figure it out. Shadow enchantment, real good. And it can even go greater invisibility 3 times a day. So yeah, super good. You can also, it has rust breath. So if your adventurers have too good of stuff there, it's the rust monster on steroids, essentially. Sleep gas breath is real good. The will save and fort saves and stuff are kind of low at 22, but it's a breath weapon, so that's every 1d4 rounds you can subject somebody to it, and eventually somebody will fail, and then you just have somebody go go coup de grace because they're sleeping. In addition, this dude, and we never saw this, but this dude, when he dies, he blows up. well, not even when he dies. When he goes, so his hit points are 10% of its total, which in like if you run his just stat block, it's just 17 hit points. He self-destructs on his next turn, which it's 10d6 points of slashing damage plus 10d6 points of fire damage to everybody in a 20-foot radius burst. This guy is for the same reason that I really like the Baylor, I really like this self-destruction ability because it makes your really optimized guys think. Because there was an encounter a long time ago that I ran the party through, and that basically like there were some players, one of them's here, that like the power gaming disparity did this. I'll say like he's here and other characters are here, so we spam Baylors, and Baylors like Clockwork Dragons, when they die they blow up, and like people have evasion, people have high reflex saves, but not everybody in the party does, and the disparity between we're good at passing and we're taking a lot of damage, it falls off really fast. So when these guys who aren't optimized start like almost dying because the optimized character is doing well, it makes like it's a whole different layer of play entirely. It like I won't say it puts the optimized guy in check, because if you have to do that, you're doing it wrong because he's having fun doing that. But it will make them think a little more. It'll make people spend their resources. It might make them like, I should back off a little bit and not hit as much, which might mean you last another round, which might mean you breath weapon one more time. But either way, it's also another good way to spread the damage out to everybody there. It's some of it's fire damage, some of it's slashing damage that will pretty much all get through, because like unless you're playing like Ifrits or something that has DR over slashing. But again, you're gonna hit the wizard. Well, maybe not the wizard. You'll hit everybody around you with this when you kill them, which makes them really powerful. Also, this guy has adamantine teeth. Also, this guy has adamantine claws. Not that you really have to, well, you might at this level have to worry about beating DR over adamantine, like if you have a construct crafter. Or, well, I can't really think of any classes that have DR over adamantine, but I'm sure there's something somewhere we can beat it.
Or a half construct.
Oh, yeah, or that, yeah, that was there. There's things for winding with the clockworks, but I feel like well, this guy can function for 3 days per hit die. He comes down with 25 hits, so he functions forever. You don't really have to worry about it on this guy as much as you might like the Clockwork Soldier. But again, I just really like him and Thalicos because there's a lot of versatility, a lot of rebuild, a lot of this guy will do what you want him to do whenever you want him to do it. It's always great. And that is why those are my two. Next week we'll talk about how to use them. Actually, probably next week we'll rebuild the Sunlord, and I might I don't know how I'm gonna build the Clockwork Dragons, but we'll take an in-depth look at the variants and make it super nasty, and it'll be great. But that's all I got.
Okie dokie. All right. So let's see. Myself or Kane? It's me. It's me. I rolled the dice. Okay. So, let me see. Mine, I'm going to kind of take a page with Tommy on this one. My CR15 is not a super awesome, blow your mind stat person. It is instead something a bit more thematic and a bit more up my alley when dealing with players. It is the Dybuk. D-Y-B-B-U-K. This grinning specter has mad eyes and blood-red hands that twitch and jerk like a puppeteer's. And basically that's what it is. It's an undead puppeteer. It's an incorporeal undead puppeteer. It's got an AC of 28, which is not good. It is incorporeal, but that's not going to make much of a difference at this level. It has channel resistance 4. It's got excellent perception. So it is not very likely to be snuck up on, even by rogues and people that are specializing in their ability to sneak up on people. Because it's a plus 29 on its perception. That means its resting, its baseline, its passive perception is going to be a 39. So that's pretty good. Now at this level, your rogues are probably going to be able to sneak past that if they're thinking to sneak past this creature. But again, it's incorporeal. It's not necessarily going to be seen. It's going to be flying around, hovering around. It's not going to be out and about itself. And it's got a plus 32 to its own stealth. It's probably going to be sneaky. As far as what it can do a touch attack that has a plus 19 for, and it does 7d6 with its pain touch, which we'll talk about momentarily. It has detect thoughts at will and telekinesis at will. Both of those, the detect thoughts is a DC 19, nothing special, but at 15, a telekinesis of 22, it's alright. Dominate monster, feeble mind, inflict wounds, all of those are going to be 20 or above on the saves, which is good, and that's a 3-day thing. I mean, that's alright. Greater heroism, modify memory, once a day, and tongues once a day. As far as the die book and the way it's built, it's only okay. It's not something that's going to be super awesome. What it comes to being cool to use is to use it as it's intended to be used. So the die book is a misplaced soul who has eluded judgment because of some great transgression or pitiful suicide. It's like a ghost because it lingers in the physical world, but it doesn't seek to right its own problem. It doesn't seek to finish its business. It is trying to, the ecology has it trying to fulfill an insane need to right some great failure, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the business that it wants to finish is proper. Like it says, it's an insane desire. It does this by possessing people and objects. This is where it can start to get fun. Maybe this creature, well, it's more of an encounter thing that we'll get into next time as far as that. But the creature itself can be used well, and I'll do it with the encounter, by using its abilities to its advantage, by using it as it's supposed to be used. Its malevolence ability is a once per round, and the die book can merge itself with a creature on the material plane. This ability is similar to Magic Jar with caster level 18th, except it does not require a receptacle. To use this ability, the die book must be adjacent to the target. The target can resist the attack with a successful DC 26 will save, which is on par for this level. So, that's actually good, especially if you go for the barbarian who's not raging, because barbarians that aren't raging usually aren't that good with their will saves. It's when they're raging that they get their best stuff. That's their stick. So it can be very good for dealing with a heavy hitter in the campaign that doesn't have a lot going for it while it's not heavy hitting. They are immune for 24 hours if they get that done with, if they get that save made. It can also do the same thing with objects, large or smaller. Yeah, it would be good in like a stage area and stuff like that. It's not how I necessarily intend to use it, but it definitely could be fun.
You played Super Smash Bros. The Master Hand. I'm getting a vibe for this creature.
The Master Hand from Super Smash Bros. Yeah, I know that one. But yeah, you could do that. You could do lots of fun things with it. And that's where I like this creature. The die book is basically the phantom that you want to use, the undead that you want to use when you are wanting to fiddle around and puppeteer things going on in this scenery. Especially if you have somebody who's good at picking those out. And just treat it like a regular haunting. They go in, they're like, oh, it's a ghost, or oh, it's a phantom, it's a phantasm, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, because those are things that are not the die book. So they go in there, they're like, oh, this and that, and that's probably it. And then it just quiets down because the diebuck's smart. It's very calculating. And it doesn't have to stay in one spot like a phantasm does. So they think, oh, we've taken care of it. But it follows them home. That would be fun. But that is my CR15 because it can do a lot of things. And interestingly, it has greater heroism once a day that it can use on whomever it is possessing with malevolence. So there is what I have for that. Let's go to CR16. And for my CR16, I am taking the Grootslag. That's how I want to say it. It's probably pronounced Grootslang because it's not from the north. It is from other areas. Probably, I'm thinking India, based upon what it's a jumbling of, but that may be just me.
Looking at the description, it's probably Asia, so probably Grootslang. Yeah, it would be an odd dialect to say properly.
South Africa.
There we go. Somewhere with elephants. Somewhere with elephants, because it says this enormous beast is has the combined features of an elephant and a serpent. Its tremendous maw sports 6 frightening tusks. So it's got like 3 tusks on each side of its like serpentine head and elephant feet on the front like a Lindorm might have. And then its serpentine body. This guy actually is good at fighting. He is fair build. He's got a 31. His touch is only 11, but that's because he's gargantuan. It's still better than both of the other gargantuans that were mentioned earlier, which is funny. DR10 over magic, which is not really going to come into place, but a spell resistance of 27. So still respectable spell resistance. You know, could be helpful. It's got plenty of hit points. Especially if you do like me and just max out hit points all the time to challenge your players. A speed of 40 feet on land and a swim of 30 feet. So this big, gargantuan creature can swim and get around just fine. It has a bite of plus 30, so it's going to be hitting some people with a 19 to 20 crit range. Not bad. Kind of normal for something of this type of CR to get something good on. But it also has 2 stomps with a plus 25 to each and a tail slap. So that's not bad. That's not a bad array of things that you can do. You got all your bases covered around you. So you're not just able to attack on the front and on the sides, but in the back you can too. Its space is 20 feet. Its reach is 20 feet. It has special attacks like Impaling Bite, Thunderous Stomp with a DC of 28, and Trample, which Kane might remember, probably does remember, the giant centipede that they fought in the first game series that I ran for them. And Trample... Yeah,
the
Titan.
I had to kill by myself because everybody else had baby constitution.
And they got trampled. Yeah. Trample is fun, especially in a close quarter environment, because they were in a close quarter environment, so they couldn't just run away, because the thing was huge. It had taken up this space for its own, and they came into its den. So, yeah, that was a fun thing. It has awesome. This creature, back to it, has awesome blow, bleeding critical, cleave, critical focus, dodge, bull rush. I'm not seeing the combat reflexes. That is again something I would add. If your dex is too low, like with the Neothelid, it probably doesn't help you that much. But here it definitely would be something I would add, because it's got enough reflex. It's got enough dexterity to take advantage of that reflex. Improved bull rush. I'm not really a fan of the bull rush anyway, so maybe drop that one and give it. Improved critical mobility. which is not bad for it considering it can move 40 feet. So that's actually pretty good. Multi-attack, power attack, and spring attack. It can do acrobatics, and this thing's not that bad at jumping, which is weird for this gargantuan creature. I'm not really sure what the lore is behind it on that, but it's funny that it's got a plus 19 when jumping. It's smart enough to have a bluff and an intimidate. It's not a dumb creature. It has an intelligence of 15, so it's above average. It's sense motive, stealth, stuff like that, but its swim is what you're looking for. And when I get to the encounter next week, that'll definitely be something I talk about, because it's this special quality, this supernatural quality it has of aquatic illusion, and that is E-L-U-S-I-O-N, not I-L-L. Not illusion, illusion. Because it eludes by getting away in the water. As a standard action, the Groot slang that is fully immersed in water can teleport to another body of water without error. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. This ability functions like Tree Stride, but the Groot slang can exit from any body of water within 1 mile so long as both the entry and exit are wide enough for the creature to enter. Welcome to the River Kingdoms. We hope you had a great time. You're now all dead. Because this thing hunts you down.
That also includes the Royal Palace bathhouse.
True. It could come right out in the bathhouse.
This would make it.
So, I think Donald cut out on his mic there. Yep, there's the ping.
Yeah, sorry. This would make an interesting, very big cat and mouse or mouse and cat game.
It'd be big, all right. This
taking like 5 or 6 mice.
I mean, this creature, if it.
Bing.
Where is it?
Yep.
There it is.
There it is.
There
Yeah,
it is.
my mic is using it to give me an attitude now. This creature, with all of its feats, if it gets a critical, it's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt a lot. Especially bleeding critical.
Mm-hmm. It also has the impaling bite, so the Groot slang can make a bite attack against a creature. It is grappling with its tail. If it hits, it automatically is treated as a critical threat. So all you gotta do is grab one of those people with your tail, and its CMD is like 53. 53. That's the highest I've seen so far. That is, wow. That's its CMD. Its CMB is a plus 38. It's probably going to grapple somebody, especially if that wizard is in the back trying to hide and it's got its back turned to it. Don't think you're safe, because it doesn't have to move to get 20 feet of reach on you to grab you. Okay? And it's a plus 55 versus trip. You're not tripping this thing. You're not grabbing this thing. It's grabbing you. That's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like this is around the CRs where, like, unless the GM's playing into your hand, all of the classic, like, grappling builds will find that they have absolutely no chance of grappling things at their CR, and they're just getting, like, grabbed by the stuff that's got, like, here's a plus 39, haha.
I don't know.
I don't really. I'd play a grapple build, but this is why I don't.
They have to be for like city campaigns. Maybe Curse of the Crimson Throne would be good for a grapple build.
Yeah, or like a game that you know is when they go to like 1 to 5 or 1 to 7 or something.
Well, I don't know. I haven't played a Totori monk, so I couldn't speak to it. I know they can get pretty high, but I don't know about breaking a 50. Being able to grapple this thing.
Breaking a 50, that is impossible unless you optimize build.
Yeah, you gotta go full
Even then,
optimization.
dude, I don't know how.
Oh, is this maybe it's a challenge for min-maxing for fun and profit? Just throwing that out there.
How to actually grab things in Pathfinder at high CRs.
How to
Let me
grab
cut through all
things
the
in-
2nd edition content that's coming out. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Tommy, this is a video for the min-max challenge. Challenge people how to break a CMD 50.
Yeah, throw it
I'm
out
sure
to
there's
other
a way.
people.
I have been called out successfully. We'll figure it out. I feel like the answer
Especially-
is just telekinesis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're allowed to backwards compatible into 3.5, it's done already. It's
If you
not
can
that
backwards
hard.
compatible into the 3.5, everything is just done though.
Yeah, gotta be rules. Okay. Thunder Stomp is the last thing it's got. It's full round action, and it can rear up on its serpentine body and bring its massive forelimbs down in an awesome force. And 2 adjacent targets can be affected as though trampling them. So it doesn't actually have to hit you with a trample. It doesn't have to move. It can. So when it's got somebody in its tail, it doesn't have to move and get that person out of its tail. It can do a thunderous stomp as a full round action instead. So. Anyway, the Groot slang, as far as the stuff that you would want to kind of use for them, like I said, they're intelligent. They like cruelty. They lust after cruelty, but like the last sentence of their stuff says, they like to bargain for jewels and precious gems because that's what they want. That's what they like. And apparently these things have enough of an ecology that there's male and female and differences between them. This isn't a unique creature. So you could stumble upon like a mother with some young ones if you wanted to have a lot of fun with your players and really mess them over. Slap the young template onto a couple more of these, and whew, stuff would get real fast. But that is what I've got for CR16. So that leaves the best for last, Kane.
Oh, don't put that kind of pressure on me. I'm going to bang out these 2 real quick. I picked 2 dumb monsters. And when I say dumb, I mean they don't have intelligence scores. I feel kind of like the monsters on the Around the Hearth where we talk about highlighting stuff. We don't talk about monsters as terrain effects. Or, well, not terrain effects, but monsters as terrain hazards. So I've got a golem and a ooze. My CR15 is the cannon golem. Both of these are monsters that I've had used on me in the past. The cannon golem, I think, is interesting more so because of how magic interacts with it, even though it's a construct. It's got DR15 adamantine, which you probably have an answer for at this point, so not a huge deal. Its AC is on par in the 30s. The same goes for its flat-footed in the mid-20s. It's not a guaranteed thing that you're going to hit it, even if you catch it off guard. You probably will, but it's not a guaranteed thing. It's got 2 slams and a cannon, which it can fire twice in a round if it so chooses. And their attack bonuses for those are also on par at plus 29 and plus 26 and 21. The cannon's a little bit low, but it does a lot of damage, and it actually has an expanded crit range and a ×4 critical. The cannon golem, unsurprisingly, is all about the cannon. So I'm going to blow through its abilities really quick. It has alloyed, which means its attacks count as adamantine, cold iron, and silver for bypassing DR. I don't know if that's going to come up a lot against a party, because other than adamantine wearing adamantine armor, you're probably not going to have a lot of resistances that are dependent on those 3 effects. There's the blasting critical. When the cannon golem confirms a critical hit with a slam attack, it can make 1 cannon attack against that target as a free action. So basically, it just lumps you with the barrel of the cannon and then shoots you in the head. The cannon golem's cannon has a range increment of 100 feet and deals 66 points of bludgeoning and piercing damage on a hit with a ×4 critical modifier, like I mentioned before. The cannon's magazine holds up to 20 cannonballs at a time, and reloading a single cannonball into this magazine is a standard action, but loading the cannon from the magazine is a swift action, which allows the golem to take 2 shots per round. And they get to add their dexterity modifier to the damage it deals with its cannon. Now, like all other constructs, cannon golems, well, like all other golems, I should say, they have 2 magic ability and the construct traits that go with it. So you can affect it with spells that allow spell resistance, but 2 spells that interact with it, I think very interesting, is any spell with the water descriptor in it, and that's like hydraulic push or hydraulic torrent or rain spell.
Control water.
There we go. render the cannon unusable for a round, no save.
What about rust or anything like that?
It doesn't mention it. I'm not sure if rust, like rusting grasp or any rust spell, if there's a rust spell that doesn't offer spell resistance in it. But if there is, I would figure it's probably immune to it because it's alloyed, so it doesn't rust much like stainless steel.
Yeah, it's
could be wrong.
adamantine, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, adamite, it is resistant to rust, but it's durable, potentially rusting it. But it would be difficult, I would assume.
I feel like that would be a sort of a GM ruling, since
Yep.
it's not in the stat block.
It'd also be
probably.
very difficult considering
was
that you're
zero.
literally getting a cannon to the face while you're trying to rust it.
Yeah, I'm picturing where the pirate ship for this cannon golem.
Yeah, if you look at their picture, they're weirdly kind of piratey.
Getting the hella vibes from Treasure Island or Treasure Planet.
That's fair.
Treasure Planet.
These things don't have a ton of hit points, so even at CR15, I could see you fighting two of them at once. Because they only have 140 hit points at a CR15, which is not a lot, even with that DR. The other spell that I think interacts with them interestingly in their entry is the Heat Metal spell, which causes the cannon to backfire, dealing cannon damage to the golem and staggering it for a round, also with no save. So it's got a good base attack bonus. It's got a nice combat maneuver bonus. It's coming up on 50 on its CMD as well, so you're probably not going to be pushing it around unless you're specifically designed to push it around. And it doesn't have to worry about fortitude saves because it doesn't have a con score.
There you go.
And then on to my CR16, I have the Plasma Ooze. Again, this is another monster that's been used onto me, and it's actually a gargantuan ooze. I didn't realize how big it was the first time it was used on me. But there you go. He's a big boy. They've got blind sight out to 60 feet, which makes invisibility useless. And they have an aura called Magnetic Pulse, which I will get to in a second. The Plasma Ooze is sort of a mysterious monster. Nobody is really sure where they're from, but the two popular theories is that they're either from the plane of fire or they spawn out of the sun. The reason nobody's really certain which is which is because they've been found in both locations. This thing doesn't have an armor class, as both its armor class, its touch, and its flat-footed are 6. It's got a sizable pool of hit points at 241. And if you're designed to do a lot of damage, which a lot of characters in Pathfinder are designed to do a lot of damage, the Plasma Ooze doesn't really care about you because it has DR15 everything. And on top of that DR15 everything, it's immune to acid, electricity, bludgeoning, and piercing damage. If you can't hit it with a sword, it doesn't give a crap. Every 46 points of damage you deal to it, it splits. It's also got resist cold 30, less important, and ooze traits also less important. You know what they do at this point. The split, which it'll divide into 2 equal parts, dividing its hit points. It's got a decent fortitude save because the Plasma Ooze does actually have a fortitude of 24. Its reflex and will save are nothing to write home about at +7 and +2, which is basically non-existent, but it's immune to mind-affecting effects because it's news, so not a big deal. It does have a fly speed. It hovers. It doesn't move along the ground. It's basically a big amorphous blob of nuclear energy. It slams hit for a little below par. Sorry?
I said that's not scary at all. A big
No,
amorphous
not
blob
at all.
of nuclear energy.
It's basically a tiny little sun coming at you. Well, prospectively, it's pretty big, but yeah. It slams. Its attacks are a little behind the curve. It slams at +24, and its plasma rays at +11, but the +11 hits touch, so it's still not. It can still hit you most of the time, especially your big heavy armored dudes. It's going to hit you with that +11 touch. It does very decent damage at 46 + 19 untyped damage, 46 electricity, 46 fire, and grab on its melee slams. The ranged only do 46 electricity and 46 fire, but again, that's a touch, and they get to fire 1d4 of them every round if they want. They've got 20-foot reach, being gargantuan. They have the abilities that go along with oozes like the engulf and the grab and the constrict. The constrict does the same as the slam damage, which is 46 plus 19 plus electricity plus fire. So you're taking 12d6 plus 20 damage every time this thing touches you, basically. And the engulf damage does the same as the ray, which is 46 electricity and 46 fire. But that's automatic damage unless you can make the DC to get back out of it. It's got bonuses to its CMD to grapple with a plus 36 to grapple. Again, not terrifying, but it'll get a hold of you. Obviously, it can't be tripped because it's flying. It's got a CMD of 42, so it's touchable, but not by a whole lot. And onto its abilities, it has the magnetic pulse ability, which basically allows it to attract and repel metal objects, mostly attract them, which is manipulating magnetic fields is also how it flies. And metallic creatures, creatures wearing metal armor or wielding metal objects that refuse to let go of those metal objects. Basically, the ooze makes a CMD check using its magnetic pulse ability, and if it beats your CMD, you are pulled inexorably or disarmed 10 feet closer to the ooze. And unattended metal objects of size large or smaller are automatically pulled towards a plasma ooze, which means if you're in, a place that has a lot of metal around, like an abandoned warehouse or something, there might be crap flying around.
Yeah, that makes its own terrain effect.
Yes, exactly. It's a terrain effect that makes a terrain effect. This ooze's only purpose is to consume things. It's only, that intelligence of nothing. That's really the only thing it processes. I can eat that thing. I'm gonna eat that thing. Strangely enough, plasma oozes, being basically balls of nuclear energy, only digest organic matter, and very slowly at that. So, given that it's a neutral creature, if it's really well fed, it might actually ignore you.
Ooh. Make it in Starfinder where you could have this as the power core for your thing, and you just fed it every now and then, Power core for your spaceship.
My favorite way to use oozes when the party and I in one.
Bing.
Bing.
When I was saying the best part, my head said to give me attitude. As I was saying, one way I used oozes, we had a bag of holding and we needed to dispose of enemy bodies when we were infiltrating a enemy lair. So we put dead bodies into a bag of holding with a ooze to eat the bodies. Best way to
just put them in a closet.
I was gonna say that's a way better plan than what we did. I was playing a lizard folk and I had to eat everyone.
You get a fat lizard folk after a while.
They're putting on so much weight.
I need to stop killing people. I'm getting so fat.
All the guards are gone and there's vomit everywhere.
Oozes. They are the best garbage disposal monsters ever.
Now, this does make me question, Kane. Does that mean that little amorphous blob that hovered around Jack or Jake or whatever his name is in Treasure Planet, was that a mini plasma ooze?
I don't know. The Morph didn't burn off Hawkins' hands every time he touched it, so I'm gonna guess probably not.
I get a feel. You went with a pirate theme, Kane.
It's this week may have been a little piratey.
Iron matey.
Plasma oozes and pirates.
Of
Space
course.
pirates.
Together like peanut butter and jelly.
Space pirates. I really, really like the movie Treasure Planet.
It's really good. You got me real good with that one.
All right. Well, I think that's covered everything, people. So,
We did it.
yeah, we have done it. And that comes to the end of this particular Around the Hearth. However, we do want to make an announcement. Looking over the CRs in the future of what we've got coming. We talked about it last time, but I re-looked at it again. Aside from the dragons, which we're kind of shying away from talking about because
They're
a
dragons.
lot of-
You know what they do. They have a breath weapon and 6 natural attacks, and then they cast spells.
Yeah, you know usually how to use dragons. So we've been kind of shying away from those. As such, we're probably going to wrap CR 17, 18, and 19 together when we do another one of these encounters. Not encounters, highlights. And we'll do...
Are there just a few of them?
Yeah. And then we'll do 20 and above
Okay.
together. So 20 to 25, I should rephrase. Because PFSRD doesn't have up all of the other stuff that we've got for CR30s and so on and so forth.
Then we can just use Archives of Nethys. They have it.
Fair. But we're going to wrap together the 20s to 25s. And then we'll get on to other types of videos for the Around the Hearth. So... that should be
so
fun.
for the combinations, just for time, if we
Bing.
Bing!
Where's that 8-bit trumpet at?
yeah, I think my headset is the worst enemy at times for me. So for the talks for multiple CRs, just for time's sake, just talking about them briefly would be best.
Yeah. We'll talk about them more briefly this coming time. 17,
I mean, it's been a
18,
long
19.
time since we had a 3-hour Around the Hearth.
Yeah, we're capping out at about 1:10 now. Oh, 1:20 almost. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. But I did want to tell people that, so that next time they came around to the one that gets on to the end of Planar Crossroads, they didn't go like, oh, 3 CRs. But that's the main announcement that we've got for that. We will be talking about 2nd edition and things that are going on with it in the Around the Hearths once we finish out the CRs, because we're going to have some more information to go over. If you are interested in learning more about the 2nd edition stuff, do watch the podcast, because I find them interesting. I do have I've got a pretty good opinion of it so far, and Tommy is covering it pretty well on his channel. So I do recommend people see it and watch his videos on it, because he's compiling the information fairly well for us. So he's gonna
Doing all that forum diving, so you don't have to.
That's right. I don't dive forums. I just don't. I don't do that. I've got a lot of stuff on my plate already. So let's not add forum diving to it. Anyway, that's everything I've got. Tommy, you got anything you want to say before we close out?
Yeah, I do actually. I forgot to say this at the beginning, but my channel right now, we've crossed over 424 subscribers. We've crossed over by like 1.5 miles at this point. But for our next giveaway, we are trying to raise some patronage so yours truly can get a day off work, so we can run the Doomsday Dawn adventure for a total of 6 people in the party for our next giveaway. As always, our Patreon link is in the description of all of our videos, and you guys have until July 2nd, a month before the PDF comes out, to get my channel's Patreon. It's at $38 a month right now. We picked up a patron over the weekend, so it's getting there. We still got a little bit of time. If we don't get there, I'm gonna tomorrow buy a copy of the playtest and a copy of like the core book. I think only the core book has a hardcover. I think it's just a soft cover for Doomsday Dawn, but that's if we don't get there. You guys can have my copy of those. But if we do get there, we're going to run through what's probably going to be, like, at least as far as story goes, the sweetest adventure Paizo has put out in a really long time. I'm really excited for it. And again, if you'd be interested in helping us out, just go check out our Patreon. We will play on your back, and patronage will get you an extra entry in the giveaway as well. So it's a win-win.
There you go. All right. So, with that all taken care of, we hope you had a great day. God bless and enjoy. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what that was.